This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
This program is supported by Lemur Skin and Lemur Aesthetics, bringing the luxury beauty experience closer to people. SMC Global Power.
Welcome to Open for Business. Mapapanood nyo rin ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. I am Cesar Vallejos. Samahan ninyo kaming tuklasin ang iba't ibang pamamaraan kung paano mapaunlad ang inyong negosyo. Aalamin din natin mula sa mga eksperto ang mga pangunahing trends at mga strategiya kung paano natin mapapanatiling ang inyong negosyo, maliit man o malaki, ay maging laging open for business. The world just celebrated the International Women's Month to commemorate the cultural, political, and socio-economic achievements of women around the world. Sa ating bansa, progresibong isinusulong ang pagtataguyod ng mas maraming oportunidad para sa mga kababaihan pagdating sa iba't ibang sektor ng lipunan. Katunayan, inilaan ng pamahalaan ang buong buwan ng Marso bilang National Women's Month. This year's theme is We Make Change Work for Women, which highlights the empowerment of women as active contributors to and claim holders of development. Nakilala natin ang mga kababaihang nagpakitang gilas sa iba't ibang larangan, sa gobyerno, sa negosyo, sa sports at entertainment, at maging ang mga nasa labor workforce, sa on-site environment man o sa digital economy. We welcome women around the world as we open for business.
Magulo na naman yung mga tao niyan sa halalan.
Naku, ang problema ko nga, paano kaya kami boboto ng tatay kong senior na? Ako, buntis pa. Pwede pa kaya kami?
Pwedeng-pwede. Para hindi kayo mahirapan, may nakalaang express lane para sa senior citizens at sa buntis na butante.
May express lane ba sa mga senior citizen?
Express lane para sa mga buntis na tulad ko?
Oo, merong express lane. Mas mahalagang magtanong muna bago pumila kung saan-saan.
Wow, thank you, Dahil dyan pabili nga ng balot mo.
Ay, kami rin. O, sige po, siyempre. Pero, buntis at senior citizens po muna. Sige po, meron po tayo rito balot. Para sa karagdagang kaalaman, makipag-ugnayan lang sa pinakamalapit na barangay o bisitahin ang COMELEC website.
A public service message of Net25 for Mata Ng Halalan 2022. Matatag, matapang, matapat. In cooperation with Gapan Drug.
Welcome to Mobile Legends!
Welcome back to Open for Business today. I am joined by binibining Pilipinas Universe 2000 and the anchor of Mata Ng Agila International, Miss Nina Ricci Alagao-Flores. How are you, Miss Nina?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Magandang araw din sa'yo, Cesar.
We are very excited today because the topic is very interesting. We just celebrated the Women's Month last month.
Right.
And we have seen the evolution of the role of women. A lot of us know the importance of women in business and society. But during the pandemic, somehow there was a change. I think lalong lumutang ang role ng mga kababaihan, lalo
Right.
na sa pamilya. And I was reading your profile. You wear many hats,
I
from
do.
TV actress, beauty queen, painter, now news anchor. So how do you see and what do you see in women during the pandemic?
Well, women, as we know it, are very resilient. Lalo na ang mga Pinay. Alam mo yan, Cesar, di ba? Tayong mga Pinoy kasi, kahit anong dumating na hamon sa atin, nagagawa pa nating ngumiti, di ba? And I believe na women, in the time of the pandemic, ang daming na-unearth na more pa na talents. Now, we are already very skilled and talented in many aspects to begin with. But the pandemic forced out even more. So
like in your
biglang-
case, Miss Nina. So like say for example, I think I remember that was early 2020.
Right.
So that was March. So how did you accept it? I know that you have a business. I know that you have work schedules. How was your preparation during that time?
Siguro, not much time for preparation, ano? I think nagulat tayong lahat dun sa nangyari, And nagkataon, International Women's Month, yun nung kasagsagan ng pandemya, di ba, ng first lockdown ng Philippines. Hindi siguro preparasyon ng mga nangyayari sa bahay, but more of the preparation of the mind. Parang you have to set, ako in my case, I set my mind to what might be in the next months. And ang nangyari was, di ba, naging yung what we thought would be just months of lockdowns and limited movement, di ba? Ang nangyari, halos 2 taon tayo nasa pandemya. So it's good to have a good, positive attitude towards the situation kasi who knows how long that would last, di ba? But your attitude, that's your choice, Di ba? If you choose to be positive, di ba, throughout the time na nangyayari yung pandemya, malaking tulong yun kasi it'll help you move forward instead of get stunted, di ba?
You know, the basic unit, diba, of the Philippine society is the family. And during the lockdowns, we know that it was also, as a parent, how did you manage surviving this pandemic? And of course, when all your children, the kids are all there, and it was time to reconnect with them somehow.
Right.
Some of them were going into online education. What were your discoveries in terms of you as a mother and as a woman during the pandemic?
Diba napansin mo, Cesar, lumaki yung mata ko at the mere mention of online education. Kasi yun yung isa sa mga major changes na nangyari. So, the kids no longer go to a physical school. So, I have been homeschooling them since last year. So this is the second school year na I have been homeschooling at least 2 out of 3 kids because one is already in college. So ganon. So tinamaan din pala yung isa. So I had a 12th grader, an 8th grader, and a 4th grader. So imagine homeschooling 3 children, di ba? And the 2 younger ones, hindi blended education. So hindi to online learning and then asynchronous. Sila purely homeschooled. Ibig sabihin, ako talaga yung nagturo sa kanila. Hindi madali. I have to say, it's a very difficult task. Kasi isipin mo yung trabaho ng isang teacher. Ikaw din ang kumarga, di ba? Not to mention, ina ka na. Not to mention, di ba, asawa ka. You're a homemaker. So dagdagan mo pa ng you are a homeschooling mother. So hindi siya madali. But like I said in the beginning, kailangan yung attitude mo kasi positive. And the goal really is to be able to make things work. If not to make them work really well, to make it work muna and then aim higher and make it work better, make it more efficient, diba? Make it more effective. So in the case of my family, because nga the family is parang basic unit yan, diba? And if you make your family your priority, I think dadali. Kasi you do it with joy, di ba? It's rewarding for you to see them learn, to see them become better people. Dahil tinuro mo, dahil minolde mo sila na gano'n. So andun din yung reward. So that keeps you going.
Wow.
Dumali.
I'm sure a lot of women, a lot of mothers can relate to your
Yes,
story.
I'm sure.
And another thing is, as you mentioned about online schooling, homeschooling, was there a skill that you had to learn also? Because I know that while you assist, the kids, you would somehow be techie as well. And I think that was one of
Oh,
the many
gosh.
challenges, di ba, of the
That's
parents.
true.
And even teachers. So sila na mismo teacher, napilitan din sila to go into
Right.
digital. And even businesses, a lot of the businesses are not ready for digital transformation. So in your case, was there a separate skills development that you had to do on digital, on social media for you to adapt to how women should address those family concerns?
Oh, mahirap yan kasi sa totoo lang, gone is the time na ang mga babae sa bahay lang. There used to be that notion, diba? Na ang mga babae sa bahay, nag-aalaga ng asawa, ng pamilya, ng pamamahay, ang ginagawa ng mga babae. But that has evolved into something far more complex than how women used to be looked at before. So ngayon, parang on my own time, inaaral ko pa yung digital migration. Kasi 'di ba nanganganay din ang mga eskwela eh. In fact, I still keep that group ng mga parents ng mga schoolboys ko before nung nasa physical school pa sila. So andun pa rin yung chat. So I'd be able to see how sobrang dinudugo sila, if that's the term I would use to just really express yung what they were going through at the time. So parang may kita mo talaga yung hirap na, naku, nakuha niyo na ba yung announcement? Ganyan-ganyan. We haven't seen this and that. Tapos isasubmit na pala. May kita mo talaga na problema sila. And what a relief it was for me because the kids were purely homeschooled. So while we were adjusting to the digital migration, hindi namin kailangang sumabay dun sa online synchronous classes. Yun man lang, medyo hinga kami sa part na yon. So habang nag-a-adjust ako, di ba, it wasn't as tough for me as it was for the rest of the parents na who continued on with online education. So I guess, medyo mas blessed din siguro na we went for pure homeschool.
That's interesting, Miss Nina. Now, my question is, and it's part of our topic for discussion. There are income opportunities for women, that appeared during the pandemic.
Right.
And not only during the pandemic, but because women entrepreneurs also are now recognized not only here in the Philippines, but around the world. There are entrepreneurs or women CEOs in big companies, in multinationals. So in your case, I know that you have also a lot of passion. And were these interests, what are these skills, what are these passions that you had to revisit or nabuhay na ulit sa'yo?
Na-unearth, no? Na-unearth.
Because I know that reading your background, you attended the Philippine High School for the Arts in Mount Makiling, and alam ko, mga scholars yan. At piling-pili yung mga yan. Hindi ka makarating sa Philippine High School for the Arts kung medyo wala ka talagang talent. Kasi because there's a lot of students who have, or applicants there and who are very talented. And you are one of those who attended that, prestigious school. Ito ba ay isa sa mga nabuhay na passions mo, not only during the pandemic, but were you also able to use this as a means to have your income opportunities flourish?
Actually, the business side of that would be medyo incidental eh. But you cannot discount that, di ba? Parang meron pa rin talagang business aspect yon. But really, it's more because I love to do it. Hindi naman siya nawala sa, it kind of took the backseat for like some time in the past. But even before the pandemic, medyo bumabalik ako sa painting. Like I tried my best na to have the discipline to not lose my touch. So I ensured na kailangan nakakapinta ako, nakakapag-draw ako. Even if it's not a regular thing, as long as I don't lose my touch, that's good enough for me. But when the pandemic hit, dun yung talagang, yung mga ibang interests mo pa that are medyo parang natural extensions ng pagiging artist mo. Such as the doll customizing, Yan, yung mga... So yeah, matatawag mo siyang small business kasi literal na small business. As in 1/6 scale na business ito. So yes, medyo nabuklat uli yun. And siguro ang masasabi ko sa mga nagbi-business, parang it's important na you experience joy. Para it's not all work. Di ba nga, there's a saying that goes na, if you love what you do, you won't have to work a single day in your life. So parang may pagkaganon siya.
Okay. Now, let's talk first about you being an artist. Aside from the Philippine High School for the Arts in Mount Magkiling, you also enrolled at the UP College of Fine Arts, and your major was visual communications. Was this really the chosen path? And how do you see, what's the role of women in the arts? Do you think there are still opportunities for women in the arts? And do you think this is something that would also, an area or a sector in the society that has to be promoted well? We know that dito, di ba, dito sa Pilipinas, medyo doon tayo kulang. Hindi yung katulad dong sa maaring sa ibang bansa ay talagang todo ang suporta nila. Ang laki-laki ng budget nila sa arts and culture. Tapos may women pa. So, in your experience, was this your path? And how do you see the arts and culture here in the Philippines be supported by, not only by the government and by the private sector?
Okay. Actually, art kasi has always been a movement, diba? It's not a mere way to showcase one's talent or skill in the aspect of drawing or painting, diba? Mas movement siya eh. So, gumagalaw siya kasabay ng movement sa lipunan. So dito sa Pilipinas, I'm glad to see na a lot of women artists are now more, given more opportunities to shine. Kumbaga, to be able to showcase what they have to say about the society, particularly about women empowerment. So, malaking tulong na nagkakaboses yung mga kababaihan sa field ng visual arts. Well, marami pang ibang art fields, but I can only speak for my particular field, which is the visual arts.
Now, in terms of visual arts, what have you painted, and what's your style? What's your material? With you as artists, diba, you sometimes the inspiration come from your experiences and also from the medium that you use. So, in your case, can you talk more about your passion?
Kasi ang art talaga is part of your growth eh. It should evolve with you. And para siyang, it's a lot like journalism. Parang naka-journal yung takbo ng buhay mo, except expressed visually. So para siyang ganon. So in my case, medyo nag-backseat, like I was saying earlier, medyo nag-backseat when I began raising a family. Pero nung medyo naintindihan ko na yung and also I've matured and I've learned the discipline to work when you have to, 'di ba? Parang natutunan mo na i-manage ng mas tama yung oras mo. Then I have been able to paint na talaga. And then in the past over 10 years siguro, I've been using oil as a medium. I did not before, and it's amazing kasi natutunan ko siya medyo late. Like you said, medyo malalim yung arts background ko. I went to an art high school, and then I went to UP College of Fine Arts. Pero yung oil as a medium, medyo recent yan for me. Siguro in the last 12 years maybe. And I've fallen in love with oil since. And yung mga una kong attempts was to, parang conquer my intimidation of size.
Can you expound more on that? Conquer your intimidation of size.
Of size and oil as a medium. Yan yung mga kalaban. And the appearance of skin in a painting. Yan yung mga challenges sa akin when I started using oil. So, intimidation sa space. Kasi I was used to drawing like small pieces in full detail, pero maliliit. So sabi ko, what if I try something different, like something big? So I started painting big pieces, as in the size of, siguro yung mga dimensions niya 4 feet by 5 feet. My biggest to date is 50 inches by 70 inches. So medyo malaki, Cesar.
Wow.
Yung mga ganun. So, okay, so nagawa ko siya. Gladly. Parang feeling ko naman successful ako sa aspect na yan. And then oil as a medium, hindi madali.
Why?
Because oil, takes forever to dry. It takes some 6 months to a full year to thoroughly dry. So matagal. Kaya medyo kailangan pasensyosa kang tao. It's not for those who aren't willing to wait. Kasi you have to wait until it's medyo dry, until you have to patch it on with another layer. Parang ganun. So medyo ano siya, it takes patience to learn to master oil. Not that I have mastered oil, but mas gamay ko na siya compared to 10 years ago when I first started using it.
But aside from oil, what are your other medium?
There's
or
also
media?
watercolor, pencil, color pencils, graphite, white charcoal, mga ganun. Madami. Actually, pag binigyan mo ako ng kahit ano, pwede kong gawa ng art yan. Because I guess, pag mahal mo talaga yung isang bagay, diba? You can create anything out of kahit
Nothing.
simpleng papel, out of nothing.
And what are your subjects?
It used to be the aim was hyperrealism. Laging
Can you
ganun yung
describe
goal.
hyperrealism?
Hyperrealism is it's almost looking at an actual object or an actual person. Only to find out na painting pala siya. When you look at like, 'di ba ngayon ang dami kong inspo na nakukuha sa Instagram, everywhere. Hindi na ubos. Minsan one link leads to another, biglang you're lost in the oy, magluluto pala ako. You kind of forget na you have something lined up for the day because ang daming inspiration makukuha sa Instagram. And you see a lot of really good artists na, wow, tao, picture ba to? Only to find out na, oil pala, oil on canvas, mga ganun.
So yes, your other subjects, are these people?
I don't want to be
things?
limited to people. That's why my first solo exhibit was chairs as subjects. Kasi para rin silang portrait. Sabi ko parang portrait except you're not painting people, di ba? You're painting chairs that evoke different personalities. So para rin siyang tao talaga. So ganun, parang merong chair na quirky yung itsura, which kind of symbolizes a person na adventurous perhaps, di ba? Or somebody who's very straight, or somebody who is, has a colorful life, a colorful personality. Parang ganun din siya. So I decided on painting chairs for my first solo exhibition.
You mentioned you had this solo exhibition. How was the feeling, as a woman, di ba? Parang I know that there's a lot of painters also. I'm not sure now, maybe if you can educate me, are there more women painters than men? No, but what was the feeling, and how can you describe that solo exhibition?
Well, it's very fulfilling because I had long been wanting to mount my first solo exhibit. And it waited a while. My first one was in 2009. Imagine, back then I had been an artist for very long already. And my first solo had to be years and years later, in 2009. It's very rewarding, it's liberating, because like I said earlier, there were things that I wanted to not master, but get my hands on, such as using oil as a medium, and making big pieces, and making skin appear like skin in a painting. So those were the three main objectives as to why I mounted an exhibit.
If there will be an opportunity for you to paint more subjects, what would be that subject? And if there will be an opportunity for you to mount another solo exhibition, what would be the theme, or how do you envision it to be?
I'm past envisioning it because I already have something, and I'm already working on it for the past months already. And I started by using my eldest as my first model. It's, to commemorate the pandemic, not that it's over, but we look forward to better days, Cesar.
I'd love to see this solo exhibition.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's going to be in pen and ink and watercolor if I have to. It's portraits of people wearing masks.
Wow.
So to commemorate the COVID-19 pandemic. I think it'd be very interesting.
Okay, that's interesting. When you mount a solo exhibit, how many pieces do you have to produce, and what do you think are the challenges in mounting an exhibit?
Yeah, there's the struggle. It's the number of pieces. I had made many attempts in the past to mount a second solo exhibit, which never happened because of the number that you have to meet in order to mount a solo
Mga ilan
exhibition. Usually, if it's big pieces, siguro a dozen.
Okay.
Smaller pieces would have you coming up with 20, 30, pag much smaller pieces. So I haven't hit that number. And most of the time, I end up participating in group exhibitions. And then my works get procured by clients, by collectors. So hindi ko na nabuo-buo yung... But gladly,
but that's a good problem.
Exactly. And it's good that I haven't lost my touch.
Never mind the exhibit.
Never mind.
As long as the pieces are sold.
Maybe God doesn't, di ba? He doesn't mean for it. Ang gusto niya, yung hindi mawala yung touch ko. That I'm able to paint, di ba, when I can.
Which is related to that, Miss Nina. You know, when you... Of course, we're talking about business here, but is painting profitable for women artists? And you know, what's your tips for Filipina painters also, or those who want to have, you know, to rekindle their passion?
I would say it's case to case. Like if you are a homemaker such as I am, it might be difficult to go full time. But for those who, let's say single women can dedicate more time to painting if they want to. And in comes the handlers, the gallery people who can help you with the business side of it. Because diba, before, merong sinasabi na artists aren't able to market themselves. A lot of artists die not being able to market themselves.
That's right.
Kasi hindi talaga, parang pag wired yung utak mo towards the arts, parang hindi ka wired towards business. So parang medyo those are different sides of the brain na mag-care for that. So pag artists kayo, medyo mahirap yung negosyo side.
Basta ikaw creator lang, you create something.
But now kasi, we have evolved na eh. So, you know, you can get a handler who will take care of marketing your work. Pwedeng ganon.
Can you briefly discuss the ecosystem of visual arts? Like you mentioned, you have the painters and then there are galleries. Are there also, you know, agents who market the artworks? What's the ecosystem of...
Merong ganon. They are called handlers. So yan yung mga nag-handle para ilako yung work mo. And now with the use of social media, di ba, mas madali. And yun na nga, and it's for the same reason that some feel they have no need for a handler or a gallery taking care of, you know, the marketing side of things. Kasi nga, parang equal footing na eh dahil sa social media. So you
But
can
is
just come
it
up with your own
easier
account.
for you because you're Nina Alagao, you're famous, and people would like to see, or to say, oh, I want a piece, you know, painted by Nina Alagao. Is that an advantage?
Now that you mentioned that, Cesar, medyo it works the other way around. Parang because they see me as this beauty queen, as this actress, as a woman, kahit pa paano hindi pa completely gone yung stigma na, beauty queen yan eh, talaga ba marunong siya magpinta? So parang for a time, nag-backseat yung pagiging artist ko to my being a beauty queen. And a lot of people to this day are surprised to know na, talaga nagpipinta ka? Hindi ko patingin nga. Pero alam mo na, yung tingin nila, alam mo na merong underestimation. Merong patingin nga ng mga pa-Snoopy, Mickey Mouse style mo dyan. Parang feeling ko in their heads, parang patingin nga, thinking na, ano lang yan.
I see. Not until they see your background, you know, from the art school and from the College of Fine Arts. So, okay, which brings me to my next question. And you mentioned about the passion and the business. Are there many artists in our country who are maybe stuck between the passion and doing the business side of things? So, in your case, how do you balance passion, business in the arts, and homemaking? I know that, you know, it's three different things, but, you know, how do you balance it? And are there artists who are stuck into that dilemma?
I think so, lalo na nung nagdaang 2 years, diba? In the last 2 years kasi, parang may battle tayo na how do I provide for my family at the same time, not let go of my passion, diba? Those are two very difficult things to balance, diba? So ako, in my case, parang don't lose your joy. It's important na you keep loving what you do. And discipline is very important. That's the one thing I didn't have before. Kasi I was very carefree. As a young student and as a young adult, hindi ko masyadong inisip na parang hindi ko pre-project na I wanna be a famous artist by the time it's this year. You know, like 10 years from now, I will have been in this, ito na yung status ko in the field of visual arts. Parang I didn't have any of those things in mind.
I was surprised. You were carefree, but what did you envision for yourself?
Living for the day ako nung time na yon, which I think helped. Kasi once you have that discipline na, and you still live for the day, parang ibibigay mo lahat every single day, which is good, di ba? So what you have set your mind to accomplish for that day, na gagawa mo siya. So discipline is very important. And it doesn't come right away for a lot of people.
Yes, yes.
Experience will teach it to you. Right?
Okay, I have to ask this also. Do you think women are given more opportunities in our country, or should more be done to address the so-called gender gap in the workforce?
Ano ba? Siguro I'm glad to say na medyo nabubura na yung mga stigma na ganyan. And well, misogyny, especially in in the business field.
Yes.
Even in the political scene, medyo nabubura na siya, di ba? Makikita mo na women are a lot more empowered now. Di ba? Mas may respeto sa babae. Because I think parang we've invested long enough time to prove ourselves that we are as good, if we're not better, we are as good, we can compete, di ba? Parang ganon.
What do you think are the qualities of Filipinas like you know, to make them excellent and more successful in their chosen fields? I know that, sabi mo nga kanina, Filipinas are very resilient, di ba? Tayo, ano man ang dumating na pandemya, bagyo, gutom,
di ba, nakasmile pa rin amid
so,
pandemic.
What is it that, what are the qualities of...
Okay, apart from resilience, siguro I would say we adapt easily to different environments. Yung kahit saan ka ilapag, makaka-survive ka doon. Kasi ang taas ng survival instinct ng mga babae, ng mga Filipina. Not to mention, matatalino ang mga Filipina, di ba? Lalo na ngayon, mas may boses na.
Yes, and we're hearing and watching one now.
Thank you very much. Di ba, mas empowered kasi yung mga babae, so mas confident na ngayon to express themselves and to be able to excel in different fields. Di ba? Hindi na kasing nahihiya, di ba? Ngayon, mas may boses, which is good. Like I said earlier, nabubura na yung tingin ng mga babae, second class citizens, or mas nakakababa. Parang mga lalaki muna, tapos mga babae. Medyo nabubura na yan, which is good. Well, at least in the Philippines, di ba?
Pero tingin mo, ano yung key driver nun? What was the tipping point? Bakit ganon? What's your take on that? What triggered it?
Ngayon kasing nagka-pandemya, syempre, parang naging assertive yung mga babae, di ba? Whether that's out of need, di ba? Or, di ba? Totoo yan kasi I've seen a lot of, di ba, ang online business now is really thriving, di ba?
Yes.
Nung nag-start yung pandemic, walang makalabas. So, yung mga babae, it's time that we, stand up and, di ba, our presence be felt. So, yung mga nagluluto, yung mga nagbe-bake, diba? Madalas, kababaihan yan
At ikaw, gumagawa ng dolls. Mabalikan ko lang yon. Why customizing dolls?
Okay, hanggang ngayon, baka hindi mo alam, Cesar, doll collector pa din ako. And I still find joy in playing with dolls.
How many dolls do you
I have different sorts kasi, so it's hard to say how many. So, I have Barbie dolls, I have fashion royalty dolls. If you look these dolls up, hindi sila mura. So, pang-adult collectors talaga
I
sila.
see. You collect and you sell them as well?
I don't.
You just collect?
But as part of my business, I'm a doll fashion designer.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yun yung business side nun.
How profitable is doll fashion designing?
It's quite profitable kasi, lalo na sa Philippines, because hindi kami madami, you can almost command your price.
Wow.
Huwag ka lang greedy, syempre.
Sige. What's the range of, like say, a design?
You'll be surprised to know
Range
that a
lang.
pair of leather shoes can go up to as much as 800 pesos.
Okay.
Parang sapatos ko na, hindi kaya? It's very profitable, really.
And what is the skill that you needed? You said kaunti lang kayo. So, like, is it because, you needed a special skill or a special tool to do it?
Yes. Well, first of all, kailangan may kamay ng artist ka talaga. Hindi siya katulad ng mga, like mga factory workers and mga mananahe na you can train them to, di ba, to sew pieces together, come up with perhaps a t-shirt or a skirt or a pair of shorts. Ito, it takes skill in that. Kailangan pulido yung produkto. I mean, anyone can come up with a pair of leather boots for a doll that's 12 inches tall. But iilan lang yung makakagawa ng sobrang pulido kasi it takes dedication talaga. It takes love to make these things. Hindi siya madali.
And is there a demand for it? You said, there are adults like you who are doll collectors.
Yes,
so
you'd be surprised. This community is thriving.
So what's in it for them? Can you give us a short description of the psyche? What are these people thinking also in terms of satisfaction? Like if there are people.
It's like shopping for yourself. When you shop for your dolls, and you see that your dolls are wearing the best, outfits, the best shoes, the best bags, iba yung satisfaction na nakukuha nila. And a lot of these women are not very young. A lot of them are middle-aged women na they're past the time na they are homemakers, they're homeschooling small kids, they're past that. So now is the perfect time to be pursuing yung mga passion, mga hobbies. So yun. So meron talaga siyang, may specific market siya.
Which is good because in this case, I think one of the messages, one of the insights that I'm getting here is that you don't have to also give that specific product or service or copy someone else's, di ba? Parang you find a market niche, and sell that to them. So, is this also one of the passions that you wanted to pursue? And is there later on maybe a club or an industry or a sector that you think you will pioneer for this to be developed?
Well, I don't want to close my doors, and maybe I need to delegate stuff if I want to come up with like a real business. Not that it's not a real business, but it's based on what I can produce, because I haven't delegated making more to different people. So right now, ako lang talaga. And as long as I find joy in making them, I'd go on. But sometimes, parang mapapagod ka kasi orders come pouring in. And so I have to say, sorry, I do not accept made to order. Parang ganun. So
and
I
there
just
were
come up
times,
with,
there were times
na ganun, especially to close friends. Parang hirap kasi mag-no. So what I do, I just come up, kasi what I used to do, I'd come up with pieces. And then I'd post them. And then within 5 minutes, sold out yan. Ganon.
Wow. As in how many pieces yun?
Siguro like an entire collection. Parang mga bawa bags, or like a dozen bags, mga ganon. Or a dozen pair of shoes, mga ganyan. Or if it's clothes, maybe like 6 pieces, ganyan. And so easily, because nga you have a steady market na very specific, mabilis siyang masell. Ang problema, pag may reorder, parang ganon. So sabi ko, I don't wanna lose my joy. Kasi yun yung pamantayan ko for continuing. Parang I have to continue to do this, lovingly and happily. Pag hindi ka na kasi masaya, parang hirap na i-keep up, diba? So yun.
Yeah,
I guess for small businesses, malaking bagay yung you love what you're doing, diba?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Now, you mentioned about doors opening, and I think another door just opened.
It did.
And the Net25 family has welcomed you in a contract signing to anchor. It's one of our prime time newscasts, Mata Ng Agila International. What is your view about global news and the information around the world? Why is it so important for Filipinos?
Well, it's very important in that we are part of this world, di ba? Wala tayong choice but to coexist. And with what's been going on now, kita mo naman kahit na sa konting angulo lang, such as fuel price, di ba? Medyo ramdam mo yung epekto. And it's quite a lot to deal with right now, what the economy is going through, di ba? Parang, kaya pa ba natin to? Di ba? Ito pa ba? Di ba? After all of the things that we've been through the past 2 years, isa pang dagok to tayo hindi natin kasing ramdam the way a lot of the European countries are feeling it right now. But the blow echoes, di ba? May ripple effect So to a certain degree, nararamdaman ng Pilipinas yan. And so I'm happy to be involved, di ba? At bilang anchor ng Mata Ng Agila International. It's good na mas makakasali ako, mas may in-depth akong pag-intindi and knowledge dun sa nangyayari sa mundo.
Wow, that's perfect. And your message to the Filipino women who are also rekindling their passion or discovering their passions for young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, and in general, how should women, celebrate women? I think the camera is yours, Nina.
To all the women out there who are looking to get started in a small business, do not be afraid. Sabi nga, if you don't know when to start, start. Diba, ganun eh. Do not be afraid. This might be the perfect time for you to get started. Who knows that little idea of yours for a small business might bloom into something really big. So, yeah, take that first step. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. This is the best time.
Thank you, Miss Nina Alagao, for this exciting, wonderful experience, and welcome to the Net25 family. Miss Nina Ricci Alagao-Flores, binibining Pilipinas Universe 2000, and the anchor of Mata Ng Agila International. Open for business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I am Randy Bernardino, and here are the trending business news around the world. Duterte signs law allowing full foreign ownership of telcos, airlines, and railways. President Rodrigo Duterte signed a law amending the 85-year-old Commonwealth Act No. 146, or the Public Service Act, relaxing restrictions on foreigners to completely own businesses in the country. Specifically, the law would allow full foreign ownership of businesses in select industries, such as telecommunications, airlines, and railways. Some sectors, however, will still restrict full foreign equity, such as public utility vehicles, water, electricity, petroleum pipelines, and seaports. According to Duterte, the amendments will support the country in leading the path towards economic recovery amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Apart from this, Duterte said the amendments are expected to generate more jobs for Filipinos, improve basic services, and allow for the exchange of skills and technology with the country's foreign partners. U.S. drought pushes cotton prices to 10-year high. Cotton prices rose to their highest level in more than a decade due to a prolonged drought in parts of the central United States. The plant fiber reached 1.3171 per pound on the key U.S. futures contract, the highest since July 2011. Rainfall has been exceptionally low since early January in the northwest part of Texas, which produces about 40% of all U.S. cotton production. Depending on the region in the United States, cotton is planted from March to June, so there is uncertainty in the market about the size of this year's crop. Many are already comparing the current weather conditions to 2011, when U.S. cotton producers experienced their worst drought ever, and prices rose as high as $2.27 per pound. The drought this time is hitting an already tight market because of a pandemic-related increase in demand for cotton textiles as people spend more time at home. Suzuki to invest $1.3 billion in India electric vehicle production. Suzuki Motor will invest $1.3 billion into electric vehicle and battery production in India as it accelerates long-term plans to achieve carbon neutrality. In a deal signed with the Indian state of Gujarat in the presence of visiting Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and Indian counterpart Narendra Modi, Suzuki said it planned to increase production capacity for electric vehicle manufacturing in the state. It aims to begin operations in 2025. The company will also build a plant manufacturing EV batteries on land near its Gujarat plant, while a joint venture, Maruti Suzuki Toyotsu India, will construct a vehicle recycling facility at the same site. The announcement comes as major automakers move to boost production of green cars in a bid to reduce emissions. And now on to our Tech Buzz, where we find out the latest trends in technology. Today we learn, what is Ethereum? Ethereum, which launched in 2015, is the second biggest cryptocurrency by market cap after Bitcoin. But unlike Bitcoin, it wasn't created to be digital money. Instead, Ethereum's founders set out to build a new kind of global, decentralized computing platform that takes the security and openness of blockchains and extends those attributes to a vast range of applications. Everything from financial tools and games to complex databases are already running on the Ethereum blockchain. As the nonprofit Ethereum Foundation puts it, Ethereum can be used to codify, decentralize, secure, and trade just about everything. And now on to our job hunting tip. Every week, we will provide you with tips for first-time job seekers, for those wanting to advance in their careers, or even those wanting to start fresh and change professions. Today's tip: set a schedule and stay organized. You don't want to leave your job search to chance. Determine how much time a week you want to spend on your job search and then commit to that. Block out the time on your calendar and then use a spreadsheet to stay organized with your job search efforts. You could include things like keywords and job titles that you frequently search for. You can also keep track of the jobs you have applied for and any next steps for following up. This will help you to save time since all of the information will be in one place.
Mr. Bawal, ang galing mo namang sumayaw. Pwedeng pa-copy ng dance steps mo? Oo naman, Mr. Pwede. Mr. Bawal, ang ganda rin ng forma mo. Pwedeng pa-copy ng forma mo? Oo ba? Mr. Bawal, pakopya naman sagot mo. Yan ang hindi Hindi pwede. Ang pagsilip sa sagot ng iba, lalong-lalo na sa botohan, oy, bawal yan!
Ayon sa Omnibus Election Code, ang pagtatangkang silipin at alamin ang boto ng iba ay isang election offense.
Mr. Pwede? Please report to the principal's office.
Ako si Mr. Bawal, nagpapaalala sa inyo na ang pagsilip sa boto ng ibang botante, oy, bawal yan!
A public service message of Net25 for Mata ng Halalan 2022. Matatag, matapang, matapat.
Laughter is in the air dahil amoy na ang simoy ng katatawanan sa pagbabalik ng comedy prank show na talagang mapapawaw ang lahat sa ating ditong Laugh Trip Moments.
I'm starving!
Are you crazy? Pagkulitan at tawanan kasama ang mga prangkito at prangkita na always ready sa mga hinanda naming pranks that will surely make you go crazy. Kasama pa rin ang mastermind ng mga nakakaaliw na practical jokes na si Joey De Leon. It's me! It's me! No! It's me! Oh no! It's Biro only! Malapit na sa Net25.
Open for Business is back and our biz word of the week is glass ceiling. Tumutukoy ang terminong glass ceiling sa isang metaporikal na invisible barrier kaya't hindi na po-promote ang ilang individual sa managerial at executive level position sa loob ng isang organisasyon o industriya. The phrase is commonly used to describe the difficulties women and minorities face when trying to move to higher roles in a male-dominated corporate hierarchy. The barriers are most often unwritten, meaning that these individuals are more likely to be restricted from advancing through accepted norms and implicit biases rather than defined corporate policies. Mahusay, matapang at maaasahan. Ilan lamang ang mga ito sa mga katangian ng mga kababaihan sa ating bansa. Ang maraming taon ng kanilang pagbabahagi ng kaalaman at karanasan sa lipunan, lalo na sa pagnenegosyo, ay nagbibigay daan sa mga pagbabago tungo sa ikatatatag ng Pilipinas. Our quote of the week is from Miss G.D. Anderson. She said, "Feminism isn't about making women stronger. Women are already strong. It's about changing the way the world perceives that strength." Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood ng Open for Business. Thank you to our guest, Ms. Nina Ricci Alagao-Flores. Samahan ninyo kaming lagi sa Open for Business. Sa susunod na linggo, learn more insights from CEOs, thought leaders, industry experts, and SMEs promoting business development in the Philippines. Keeping you informed and open for business, be ahead of the curve from vision to action. Panoorin din ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. Para sa Open for Business, ako po si Cesar Vallejos.
This program is supported by Limber Skin and Limber Aesthetics, bringing the luxury beauty experience